This video is proudly sponsored by Gamersgate. Download games anytime, anywhere. Visit Gamersgate.com. Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Elder Geek Game Club. My name is Steve Wilkinson, and with me as always is Phil Summers. Phil, how are you doing tonight?
Fantastic. How are you?
I'm doing good. That's great to hear that you're doing fantastic. And of course with us is Randy Yasenchak, owner-editor of ElderGeek.com. Randy, how are you doing tonight on this
I'm
fine
good,
evening?
aside from the butchering of my last name.
Oh, did I just do it again?
Bastard.
I've been trying really hard.
No, honestly, I have one of the worst last names to try to pronounce at all times, so don't worry about it.
I've been listening to Elderspeak, and I've been like, every time you say your name on Elderspeak, I try to emulate it like to myself, but after I hear it, because my
I'll
horrible
give everybody
New
the phonetic, the easy way to break it down. So if anybody wanted to like repeat my name in public, you know, make it a household name, it's broken down three ways. The first part is ya, as in like the slang for you. The sen is as though it's send without the D, and then the CHAK is chalk, as in like almost like chalk on a chalkboard but without the K. So Yasenchak, accents on the second syllable.
You've heard this your whole life, obviously.
Yasenchak.
Yeah.
my horrible New Jersey accent, it just really makes it difficult. I somewhere in the sen is where it falls apart for me, and then when I get to the chalk, it's like hard to come back from that. Yasenchak. I've been talking to you for months. I did it? Was that good? Okay. I will practice that for the next 2 weeks, and I will not screw it up again.
Or you
I've been
talking
talking to you for.
and it's fine.
Well, I know, but I do our full names, so you know, and I've been talking to you for months now, so it seems kind of silly that I can't pull it off. It's just the Jersey in me. It's difficult at times.
Let's Wizorb it up, baby.
That's right. Yes. So welcome back again to the Game Club. This is episode number 20. Which is pretty awesome that we are now in the 2 O's. And this time around we played the game Wizorb, which is an indie title, available on PC and also on Xbox Live Indie Games, for those of you that are into Xbox Live Indie Games. And Phil here is going to give us some information on the game. He's done his homework, and he's going to give us some backstory.
Sure. All right. So it was developed by Tribute Games. Now, this is a new studio. Wizarb's their first game, but it's made up of 3 team members, and they're based out of Montreal. So they're former Ubisoft devs, and they mainly did like a lot of like licensed things, like a lot of GBA games, like the TMNT game and Star Wars: Revenge of the Sith, which I actually played that before and kind of liked it. So it's kind of funny that, like, years later I find out these are the guys that did it. It kind of makes sense. And they did Open Season, and of course they worked on Scott Pilgrim, which is where the Star Wars thing kind of makes sense with that, because it's also like a beat 'em up. So it's made up of these 3 guys. Now I'm going to butcher their names because, as always, Steve and I apparently can't pronounce names.
I'm glad that I'm not pronouncing the names right now. I'm glad. So
we have Jonathan Levine. I mean, this is basically, I'm pretty certain Tribute Games is mainly probably like his baby. So he actually did this other game I played. It's a freeware game called Ninja Senki, which, by the way, go download that. It's free. It's awesome. I love it. He was the lead design. He's the lead designer of Tribute Games. Then there's Jean. Jeez, I heard.
Jean-Francois. I'm going with Major.
Yeah, Jean-Francois Major. He's the programmer. Then there is Justin Sear.
I'm going with Sear. Justin
One vote for Sear.
Guys, if you just so happen to be listening, I am sorry, and you can come correct us with the proper pronunciation of your
with the
names.
grammar correction back.
Yes, yeah. And he and Justin did the audio, additional graphics, and that's his deal. And then, not part, I guess, of the group, they had Jean Chan do the music, and Paul Robertson, who they met during Scott Pilgrim. He did the main character animation and then boss animation. So there you have it. That is the team that made up Wizorb. Now, Levine and Sire, they've known each other for about 10 years. They actually worked at Gameloft on all like black and white cell phone games that were, I think, programmed with like Java. So, you know, they've been doing this for a long while. And, you know, they did Wizorb when they decided to form Tribute Games. And their plan with Tribute is they want to make a game a year. So Wizorb they actually put together in a few months, but at the same time they were kind of building their company. So they're trying to find office space and, you know, figure out company things, I guess, as they were making this game. So it was kind of like a very chaotic time for them. And they're a completely self-financed company, so it's, you know, there was no backer for Wizorb or anything like that. You know, this is all them. And their company goal, it's not so much to innovate, but they want to make games kind of based around classic game design, the stuff they grew up on, the stuff we grew up on. I think, as you can see, in stuff like Wizorb and Scott Pilgrim. And that's kind of what they want to do. And they want to have a bit of a modern edge to those types of games. And, you know, they love like pixel art, so I don't think their next game is going to be like some 3D thing. It's probably going to be pretty similar looking to stuff like Wizorb and Ninja Senki. That's my guess, anyway. So Wizorb was first released on Xbox Live Indie Games on September 28th, followed up by a Gamersgate and Desura release on November 7th, and then finally Steam on March 15th, and all the versions cost $3, so it's a cheap game. Apparently after the Xbox release, they had a lot of fan feedback about the control, and then they actually tweaked a little bit, and they updated the Xbox release, and I believe that release is what followed suit and came out on PC. Wizorb itself is a breakout style block breaking game. You know, there's a little paddle at the bottom of the screen, you're bouncing the ball back to break blocks. What makes it, I guess, interesting is that it has like slight RPG elements where you kind of walk around like a town in between stages. So that is Wizorb, and a lot of this information I feel like I should give credit. I found it through usually my information I find, of course, on Wikipedia, but these guys, it was a little trickier. I found a nice article written by Patrick Klepek on Giant Bomb that had a lot of this info. I actually found, I wish I didn't write this one down, I found an interview with I believe Justin on another site, and he had a couple of things that I jotted down here too. So there you go. There is your Wizorb history.
Very good. Very thorough.
I tried. Well, you know, it's, you know, I wanted to give background, as always, I want to give background on them and what they've done, and, you know, as much as I can get. So
what did you guys? Who wants to take the reins here? And start off with their thoughts on Wizorb? If no one says me, I'll go first.
You go first,
all right.
Steve. Phil and I have been kind of battling back and forth as to who is going first the past couple episodes.
And I just
first.
I just said so much. I need a drink of water.
I understand. I usually just let you guys go for it, and then I'll chime in. Okay, what can I say about this game? I liked it. I thought it was a cool idea. I definitely appreciate what they were going for with doing kind of an RPG that has like breakout kind of gameplay in it. I thought that was kind of a really unique and interesting idea. I thought the graphics and everything were really cool. I liked, you know, it has that great, it kind of reminds me a lot of graphically of Jamestown. Very similar kind of look to it, even though I guess Jamestown is more of like a 16-bit game, and this is more of an 8-bit era.
Based on the color count, I would say that this one was 16-bit inspired too.
Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah, that's true. But yeah, I thought it was a really cool-looking game. I enjoyed the music. I felt like, you know, the little animations and everything were cool. I think for me, it might have been a little bit of a problem of perception as to what I expected the game to be.
Yeah.
I was expecting a bit more RPG, and the breakout part being more of like the combat system.
Yeah.
To take the place of like random battle type, you know, like what would normally in a Final Fantasy game be like the turn-based battle. I figured that maybe the breakout was going to be like kind of these quick, short little battle sequences where you played like that, and then you continued on in the RPG. So I guess I was a little disappointed I don't know if disappointed is the right word, but I just kind of, when I got into it and played it, I was like, oh wow, there's a lot more than I thought when it comes to the breakout. And at times I felt like the pacing kind of, like I played it in short chunks. I didn't finish the game. I only got a couple worlds into it, and I really, I felt like it went too long at times in the breakout portions, and I wanted to get back to more of like an RPG kind of thing and see what was going on. I also didn't really, and this is my own fault for not going, I guess, maybe far enough in the game, but I didn't really feel like I understood what the motivation was or anything, or even if there was a motivation, if it was really just on a very superficial level, like just jump in and play the game and don't worry about what's going on.
You mean as far as like a story?
Yeah.
There's a story to it. The game doesn't, I don't think force it down your throat. I think there's like 4 kids that are kidnapped, and you're finding them in each of those.
Okay. I didn't know, maybe I missed something in the beginning, or I don't know, it didn't, nothing really kind of grabbed me about that, so I just kind of, in my mind, it was just kind of like a fun breakout game that had like a fantasy theme to it, and I guess what I was expecting, like I said, was more of a traditional kind of RPG that just used breakout as its combat system. So, I played it in spurts, I would go so far on a level, and then, after a while, though, it was just kind of like one breakout level after another, and I just kind of started to get it's fun, breakout, but it's not like so fun that I want to just keep playing and playing and playing, you know what I mean? I don't mean that as like a dig against the game, it's just kind of my own personal preference. I think overall, like, the quality of the game, the production that they put into it is really nice, and for a $3 game, I can't say that, any reason for anybody not to check it out. I think it's definitely, it's like a fun time killer, like for 15 minutes here and there, but it's not something like I felt like compelled to sit down and play through the whole thing. Like I just had to, get through world after world to see what was going to happen next, I guess, if that's the best way I can sum it up for myself.
Cool.
Yeah, your thoughts kind of almost just echo my thoughts. Like, I felt the same way. I went in there for some reason expecting a different type of game. I guess when I heard that there was RPG elements, that, yeah, maybe the breakout stages would be kind of like the fights, or it wouldn't. I guess the game is more breakout. I thought it would be more RPG. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
And I guess in that way I'm disappointed, but that's not their fault. I mean, that's just my fault for whatever I built, whatever I made it in my head before I played it. And the role-playing game set, the RPG parts are, you can barely even call it. I mean, there's really just one town. The way the game works is there's one town. You start out in the town, and the town's been destroyed, and these people are asking for money to rebuild houses. You go out into the first world, which is like an overworld map, like a Super Mario, and you pick the stage. When you go into a stage, you do about like 10 to 15 breakout style levels all in a row. You earn money and stuff like that in there. And then what you do is, once you finish that and fight the boss, you can move on to the next stage, or you can go back to the town and do optional. The town is completely optional at this point. You don't have to do the role-playing parts if you don't want to. And then you can go back there and start rebuilding houses and stuff like that with the money you've earned. I rebuilt a couple houses, and they give you a little reward when you give them the money, and then when you go back and you go to the house, they're just in the house. There's no it doesn't open up some kind of optional thing for you to do. Even it doesn't even give you maybe an extra breakout stage to play or something. So in that way, I was a little disappointed. Yeah, like you said, I think maybe I would have preferred if the stages were broken down even further, because I think the way the game works is you can't save in the middle of that 10 chunks of stages. You can't just save at stage 5 and come back to it. I think pretty certain you're booted back to the beginning. I'm not sure about that, because I did exit out, and when I started it up again, the next time and said resume game, I was in stage 2-5 already. But I still had however many lives I had when I quit. It's not like I reset at that point. It was just where I was when I left off. All right, I should have double checked it, because I think the one night, if I remember right, the one night I was going to quit, and I think it said something about not saving my progress at that point or something, and I was kind of afraid, so I didn't do it, and then I completed, that world. I made it to the end of the 4th world. I believe there's 5 worlds. So I made it far. I feel like I've seen pretty much everything there is to see. Yeah, I kind of wish, you know, like I said, the breakout stages, you'll have to do maybe a chunk of, you know, 10 or 15 in a row, and that's kind of a lot, I think, for this kind of game.
Yeah, I agree. That's kind of how I feel
maybe,
as well.
Yeah, and maybe, you know, maybe 10 worlds at 5 stages apiece or something. Just something to break it up a little bit, you know. Because I found myself, there's a couple stages, especially towards the end when it gets a lot harder. There was one where I swear to God, I stared at the goddamn orb bounce around. It bounced around on top of the screen for like 5 minutes until it finally went so fast that it came back down. But I mean, I was just staring at this thing. There was nothing I could do, because what you can do in these situations is you have magic, and one of the abilities you have with the magic is it kind of has like this wind effect where it'll push the ball in a certain direction, you know, it needs to go. But was there a way to make the wind go left or right to how you wanted it, or was it random? There was two different versions to every spell. There was the version of like fire, because you had 2 spells. You had fire and wind, and fire would shoot a bolt straight up automatically. But if you hit fire at the moment that the ball collided with your paddle, well, then you get the big meteor ball.
Yeah, then you would get the meteor ball, and it would blast through all the box.
Yeah.
The wind would actually push the ball where you wanted it to go, but if you hit the wind button at the moment that the ball connected with your paddle, you were able to control exactly where the ball would go, because then it would create these wings on the ball and make it kind of like the what was it called? The snitch from
it looks like
Harry
the
Potter?
snitch from Harry Potter. Yeah.
And so you could like move it around that way. So then you could put the ball where you
right. But I was talking about like when it was stuck up there. You know, maybe I need to push it to the right with the wind. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And sometimes the wind would shoot it right, and sometimes it would shoot it left. You know, when you can't get to the ball, when you want it to go somewhere. And I couldn't figure out if there was a way to control it. It seemed kind of random as to which way the wind was blowing.
You were probably making the problem worse by blowing on it. You were probably pushing it back
into
the cycle.
Well, I did blow it back in. I know. Well, I mean, the time where I was staring at it, I had no wind. I was just staring at it. But yeah, there were times where like I just wanted to give it that little nudge to get out, and then the wind would push it the other way. I'm like, no, you know, like, no, I don't want to go that way. It made me think of, did you guys ever play Shatter?
Yeah.
Shatter's awesome. I freaking love that game. You know, that has like a push and pull, but it has like different buttons to push and pull, you know? Like I felt like maybe that magic needed another button so that you could go left or right with it. I don't, just a thought. I don't, unless maybe I'm missing something. Maybe there's like I'm not hitting a certain combination right. Yeah. So, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, mentioning the magic and all that stuff, I did really like the fact that they put all that stuff in the breakout levels. I like that there were like the doors and stuff, and if you had a key, you would unlock it, and it would take you to either like a bonus stage or like a Zelda-esque kind of a merchant who would have 3 things you could buy depending on how much coin you had. I liked all that stuff. I liked the fact that they had monsters in the levels that you had to fight. And that was all really cool. And a nice twist on it. But like you described the scenario, I had that happen a lot where maybe I didn't have any more mana left to use my spells, and the ball was just it was like just trying to get it to hit like one block. All the monsters were dead, everything was gone. There was like one block left, and I'm just, you know, I understand there's a certain technique to the way you hit the ball to spin it and make it go where you want, but at the same time, that's just, after a while, like after that happening a few times on different levels, it just kind of became a bit of a drag, I thought.
Yeah.
If the ball, I don't know if you guys knew this, but if the ball bounces around enough, it'll actually replenish some of your mana.
Yeah, if like it glows.
Yeah, it gets to like a point of critical mass almost.
Right.
I didn't pick up on that happening, so that's my bad.
The only thing that happens with that, Randy, is I don't know if you noticed, sometimes even when it's glowing and it's like maybe it's stuck.
Yeah.
If it hits a couple times before it gets to you, that glow goes away.
Oh, does it? And it doesn't. Yeah. It doesn't give you any mana.
And then you don't get the glow because it already bounced the glow off.
Ah.
Yeah.
So. How about that?
Yeah. So even that's kind of limited. You know, it's funny you brought up the you know, going to the merchants and stuff. What I was thinking would maybe, you know, this is just me thinking or whatever. maybe like if since it's made up of like 10 rooms or 15 rooms or whatever, maybe they could have been more of like a map and you could kind of explore them. I don't know. I'm just trying to think of something that would have made it more interesting other than just sitting through.
Yeah, that's a neat idea. Yeah, like if you got to the door, like the goal is you can defeat all
yeah, or maybe there's like
room,
maybe you just need to hit the
which
switch, and if you want to clear all the blocks and get more points, you could do that, or you could move on to the next room. Something to change up the pacing and make it more like a map like Zelda, but that's just me think.
Yeah, that's an interesting idea.
So, yeah, I mean, so. I guess what I'm saying, I didn't love it. I thought it was it's a well-made game, and I think these guys are super talented. I mean, I love, like I said, I love Ninja Senki, and I think everybody should go play that. But yeah, I wasn't like blown away, but it's a cool little game, and for $3, it's not like when you buy it, you're just like, oh, I wasted all my money. It's not like. If you don't like it, you don't like it. You like it, you got a cool game for $3. So.
It's not like a game where you like freak out about the ending and send the developers like 1,000 cupcakes or something.
These guys will be cupcake free. Well, maybe I'd send them cupcakes just to be nice.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to be like, you know what, for $3, you guys made a really good game, and I feel like you guys should have some pastries in your office today.
Maybe I would do that.
I hope I anger somebody so much someday that they send me cupcakes.
I know, wouldn't that be awesome?
I like cupcakes. But about Wizorb, I liked it. I think I liked it probably a little bit more than you guys. But there were parts of the game that I didn't like. Right from the start, I was worried that the game was going to be crazy JRPG heavy, and I wasn't quite in the mood for a JRPG when we started playing it. So I was like, oh, great, here we go.
So you were relieved.
What's that?
So you were relieved.
Yeah, I was. I was really relieved when I found out that it was more of a breakout game and less of a JRPG. Because whenever I enter any of those towns, when I'm not in a mood for a JRPG, it's like I look at all the NPCs and I'm like, God, the game probably wants me to fucking talk to all these people.
Right.
I don't want to talk to any of them. I just want to play the game.
And you don't have to talk to them.
Right, and you don't have to talk to them. You can talk to them, and they all basically just beg you. They're like, hey, could you help me build my house for $200? And you're like, sure, why not? If I have the $200. But when I first started the game up, I kind of had my butt handed to me because I was controlling it with the keyboard, and because that's what the game was telling you to control.
Yeah,
I didn't
did it with
realize
that too.
You did, yeah. I didn't realize that I had to use or I shouldn't say had to, but I could use my mouse. And probably after getting my butt handed to me like the first 3 times on World 1-1 or however you want to call it, after having my butt kind of handed to me there, I think out of frustration I moved my mouse and I was like, oh my god, that moved the thing, and that was like kind of a game changer for me.
Yeah.
And from there I found myself having a really good time with it. I like the first world. It definitely offers a challenge right out of the gates, even if you are using the mouse right away.
Yeah.
I think I ended up having to do that first world probably 3, maybe 4 times before I really got through it. Because I've always stunk at breakout games.
Yeah, I'm not that great at it myself either.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
but I was surprised at how much of a challenge it threw at me right from the start. And I was expecting the whole first world to be just like the standard breakout format where there would just be like a ton of blocks to break up top. All you got to do is volley the thing back and forth. But it made you actually work a little bit harder to get some of the broken blocks, which I thought that was good. Giving you a challenge right from the start. The bonus rooms and the vendor rooms were kind of a neat touch. I found certain power-ups I liked. I found other power-ups that I found I didn't want to have at all, like the larger paddle I actually found to be kind of a nuisance, and there was another power-up that kind of bugged me.
The one where it sticks?
Ball.
Yeah, the sticky ball was tough.
Yeah, sticky ball, I thought... the first time I got it, I was like, oh, this is going to make it so much easier, but it slowed down the pace of my game. I preferred the chaos of, like, the ball just going crazy and the challenge that came with it than being able to catch it. There were some neat power-ups, though. Like, if you built the mayor's home, you could buy a power-up that put a wall behind you,
Yeah, I
So-
had the
so
behind.
that-
Yeah.
Yeah, so if like you missed the ball, it would still bounce back up at it, and I think it could hold about 3 hits or something like that. And whenever I could find it, I would always buy the 3-ball thing.
Yeah,
Just because
yeah.
I just loved the chaos that it created.
Yeah, the 3
But,
ball is cool.
Yeah. The music was great. I thought the animations were perfect for what they were going for.
So you love the
I-
music? You
The
really
music
like?
I thought was really good all the way up until I think the 4th level was a little bit of a miss for me, and yeah, the 4th level was a little bit of a miss for me. I think I liked the final level, but
Did
I
you
thought
finish
music was
the
really
game?
good. Yeah, I did.
Oh, you
I
beat the
did.
game?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, look at you.
Yeah. Look at me.
Yeah, that is cool, man.
The first level I really liked it, but I was like, holy cow, this is really reminiscent of Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past dungeons, or I guess just of any Zelda dungeon music.
Really? I wasn't digging the music.
No?
I was not. In fact, on the last time I played it, I muted the music and I turned on like some NES radio station so that I would still have.
So you'd
8-bit
still have like
8-bit music.
semi-inspired music for the experience.
Yeah. I mean, you know what? It wasn't so much that the music was like bad, but I felt like it didn't really match the action. And when things got slow and the music's kind of slow, and I just like, for me, it kind of created like okay, I'm getting a little bored. I mean, I don't know. It's just me.
The only thing that I would have added to my enjoyment level for the music was if it did like a Tetris style action, like when the ball would be going faster. I thought it'd be kind of cool if the music picked up as well.
Yeah.
But I mean that's really it about that. Let me see. I kind of agree with you guys though about the length of the stages. I thought that was a little bit much when I felt like I was going through almost a marathon because I was going through this endurance test of trying to not blow all my money on extra lives just to make it to the end of the level to go back to town and spend $200 to rebuild somebody's home because I stunk. I had to buy a ton of extra lives at
Yeah, I was more interested in buying the lives once I found out what was going on with the homes. I was like, yeah, whatever. I was like, I'd rather have the lives.
I rebuilt the whole town. And,
Wow, you did everything.
Some of the people, yeah.
Does anything special happen when you rebuild the entire town?
Not really. They just give you more keys and everything like that.
Okay.
Yeah, they give you more keys and little power-ups and everything like that, but I was kind of hoping I would go home to a parade or something like that.
Right.
But, yeah, I guess that's really about it. I liked it. I wish there was a little bit more enemy variation. And I wish that, I don't know. I guess that's really about it. I wish there was a little bit more enemy variation. I really enjoyed the power-ups. I liked the fact that it nailed the 16-bit motif, like, perfectly.
Yeah, it looks great.
Yeah, it looks great, but, yeah, I guess that would be my big beef with the game was the levels did feel like a little bit of an endurance test. When this game, for the most part, feels like it's designed for a nice pick up and play and then put back down kind of experience, but that endurance test kind of level mentality is a bit counter to that mindset.
Yeah. I would have loved to have been able to play it with one of those classic knob controllers for the old Atari.
The paddles?
Yeah, like what you'd use for like Kaboom or something. I would have loved to.
Really? Did your paddles actually work on your Atari? Because mine did not.
Dude, I mean, I sucked at Kaboom, but my brother was like a Kaboom champion with that thing.
Really?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, our paddles were terrible. Kaboom, Circus Atari, forget it, man. It was. You're better off just praying that you were gonna hit the ball or catch the guy before he hits the ground.
Yeah. I would have liked to have tried it with one of those, but whatever. But yeah, the mouse did good. I couldn't imagine playing it on Xbox with the Xbox. I should have tried it just to see.
I did for a while. Yeah, it was not great.
No?
No. I was kind of not really digging it at all, and then I think Phil and I talked one day, and he mentioned that he had been using the mouse, and then I switched to that, and it was like night and day.
I'll bet.
Yeah, it was just, I mean, maybe I should have turned the sensitivity up a bit, but it just was kind of sluggish, I guess, would be the best way to describe the way it felt playing it with the controller.
Yeah.
The thumbstick just didn't translate well to that kind of going back and forth on a linear path.
That's kind of how I was feeling about the keyboard too, because that's the standard setting for the game, and that's the like on-screen commands to help you out are like on keyboard commands, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I kept digging through the menus. I'm like, is there any way for me to jack up the sensitivity on this thing? And I couldn't find anything.
Yeah. So but once I switched to the mouse, it made total sense. That was the way it should be played.
Yeah, but for my say though, for $3, I'd give it a worth buying. I think it's solidly built. You definitely get $3 worth of entertainment out of it.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Even and any gripes I had about it, I mean, yeah, I definitely think it's well worth that amount of money.
Yeah. I would just say, just like you were saying though, don't go into it expecting that it's going to be more JRPG and less Breakout. Know that it's going to be Breakout with some JRPG element.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely just straight up Breakout, really. Which is fine. I mean, it's fine. It's just not what I expected.
Right, and like you said, we can't really blame them for that. That we expected something else. It's just for me, it was just that's what it looked like when I saw the screenshots for it and stuff, and what I knew of it. So that's just what I assumed, and that was my fault.
I got to admit, learning about the history of them, I didn't know that, Phil, that they're planning on doing a yearly release.
Yeah,
I'm kind of psyched to find out what they do next year.
Yeah, me too. I supposedly I read on his blog, it's going to be more action oriented than this one was. So
sweet.
Yeah, that I would maybe we should reserve that for Game Club.
I think we should. I think we definitely should. I'll tell you what. If you give me the link for that, I'll throw it up in the comments or for people to check it out on their own on the YouTube channel.
For his blog?
Yeah.
Well, he doesn't have anything for the game. He just hints that it's going to be more action-oriented. But I mean, his blog's awesome, though.
For his blog. I can throw it up on the YouTube page.
Oh, yeah, sure. His blog's awesome. Because he's got, it's Jonathan's blog, and he has a lot of stuff, like a lot of insight into, like, the games that he's worked on. Like, I'll bring up Yasenchak again. He had, like, the tile set for it and talked about, all the tiles that he used and so on and so forth. It's just cool stuff. He's got a lot of cool thoughts up there on game design.
Nice.
Yeah. Do we wish to move on to community feedback, or is there anything else we would like to touch on?
No, I think that's it. I think we're good to do the feedback. I can go ahead and take that. First off, we got a comment from Redshift912 on YouTube. And he said that Wizorb is awesome. Hopefully they can come out with a second one or add more levels, because I already beat it a few times. So that's good. Hey, played it through it a few times, and
you definitely got his $3 worth.
Yeah, for sure. And then we got one from the Greg Man. He submitted this via Schmoozles, and he said, I only kept playing this game so I could give it a decent review. What really kept me going was the link to the past feel the game had to its music and art design. The difficulty level change from World 4 to 5 is ridiculous. Some of the design in World 5 was frustratingly counterproductive. Gems that needed to become the same color before they disappear were put in poorly chosen places, and the skeletons were quite glitchy when they chose what to block, which was almost everything they'd block, even from behind. If I could go back in time, I would stop at the end of World 3 and pat myself on the back, because that was the last time I had any fun. Will I ever touch this game again? No. Did I have fun? Yes, up until World 3. The game felt like a chore afterwards. So, those are the words of the Greg Man.
Now, I will say, he did follow up with it a few days later, so he must have wrote this after he was defeated and furious. And then and then he kind of said, like, he did enjoy the game more than he made it sound when he wrote that. So I think he was just mad when he wrote that.
Don't post your reviews when you're angry, guys. Just cool your heels for a day or two and then come back to it.
That's great. That's great. Game kicked my ass. I hate that game.
I think he was raging a little bit on that one.
I thought the levels, they were hard, and then I thought there was like some pretty cool little secrets and stuff that were involved in it. So it's, if you put the time to it, I think you'll get something good back out of it. But if it's not what you're expecting, like you were guys saying, then you might be a little disappointed.
Yeah, I agree. And then finally we got one from Phantom Spiker. He said that he actually likes block breaking games, but he thought that Wizorb was really boring. So, okay.
I want to know, like, because I say it's kind of, I mean, I kind of agree to an extent that I got bored sometimes, but that's just me and these types of games. Like, Shatter is the only one that I really loved, like, completely all the way through, and the awesome music probably had something to do with that. But I mean, what block breaking games did he play that weren't boring? Like, I'm curious.
Yeah, I felt as far as a block breaking game goes, this is a pretty good one.
Right.
But I don't know.
I mean, there's a couple others out there, but I mean, I played a weird one before on Wii. It's called Fling Smash, and you don't actually control the paddle, but like the remote is kind of like it uses Motion Plus, so you swing it to hit the ball back when it meets what the paddle would be, and you're breaking blocks that way. But that game is more laid out, like the stages are almost like typical 2D stages where you're being constantly forced through it, but you're breaking the blocks as you go along, and it's kind of more of like a score based, like, what kind of things can you break on your way through. I thought that was kind of a neat game. It wasn't amazing or anything, but that's the only other like recent block breaking game I can think of. But
yeah,
there's a couple.
Well, and oh no, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say. I mean, there's a couple old ones. I mean, there's a few I think on Genesis. A couple like
that's
obscure.
Going back pretty far, though.
Yeah, I know. That's Genesis. What I mean. Right, that's what I mean. A couple like obscure arcade ones, and there's nothing like, I can't think of anything recent.
Yeah, like within even the past 5 years, besides Shatter. Shatter was pretty cool.
Yeah, that game's pretty awesome. So I wish I asked him, what he would have considered a fun block breaking game. Just because I'm curious.
Maybe there's a whole subset of like, geeks that follow nothing but block breaking games that are so obscure that we've never heard of them.
Yeah,
hey,
we don't know.
I wouldn't be surprised, man. I wouldn't be surprised. Every year when we go to MagFest and there's like those NES homebrewers there, I'm like, really? And they're like, oh yeah, there's tons of us.
Yeah.
Really, tons of you guys?
Yeah.
Fascinated by this.
So there's tons of block breaking games, I guess.
Could be, man. Could be.
I mean, there's one on Game Boy. There's like a Kirby blocked one, but I'm talking black and white Game Boy. I mean, I can't think of anything too recent. But yeah, but for a block breaking game, I mean, I think it's a good block breaking game.
Mm-hmm. And also wanted to point out, as we wrap up the community stuff, that the developers actually got in touch with us when they found out we were doing an episode on Wizorb, and they provided us with some copies of the game to give out to the audience. So that was really awesome of them, and we appreciate that. If you were one of the people that were one of the lucky recipients, we hope you play the game and enjoyed it, and definitely recommend it to people and get the word out, because it's a cool game. Deserves exposure, and Gamersgate as well also provided us with some copies to give away, so even better.
Thanks to both of them.
Yes.
Yeah, big thank you to those guys.
Yeah, much appreciated. I guess that about does it for this episode of the Game Club.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't.
We need to announce what we're playing next.
Yeah.
Well, that was going to be part of it. That was going to be the wrap-up part.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm going to stop taking over your job.
Oh, no. That's all right. It's okay. I'm just going by... We got the show notes here, and I go bullet by bullet. So it's time to wrap up the Wizorb talk and start talking about the next game we're going to be playing, which is Offspring Fling. Anyone want to go ahead and give us just a preview of what that's is all about?
The preview is that it looks like a kind of cool game. It looks like a 2D. We throw this one around a lot on Game Club, a puzzle platformer.
It looks like Super Mario World. It looks like Super Mario Brothers 2 mixed with Yoshi's Island.
Yeah, and Yeah, it does have like a Yoshi's Island vibe. Like, I guess the point of the game is you are protecting your offspring, but to protect them, you're like throwing them around, hence the fling. And it looks like you kind of throw them like the eggs in Yoshi, and they, you know, bounce off walls and stuff like that.
It's the best way to protect your baby, by bashing him or her off of your enemy's faces.
Yeah. Now, the thing is, this game actually is not out yet. It comes out tomorrow, the 30th. We're recording this right now on the 29th. And it's available on offspringfling.com. I'm not sure what the price is going to be. I know it's going to be less than $10. I don't know, like, if it's on Steam or what. I think it might just be like available on the guy's site. I know it's got like over 100 levels and stuff like that. So it looks pretty cool. And yeah, that's what we're going to be doing next time.
By the time you listen to this, it'll be out, basically.
It'll be out.
And we'll be sure in whatever show notes for or YouTube or on eldergeek.com to have links and information.
Indeed.
Yes.
They're billing it as a Super Pretendo game.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So, go ahead and be sure to check us out on eldergeek.com and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch TV, all those great places. We love reviews. We love listeners. If you are subscribing to this podcast through iTunes or Zune, we would certainly appreciate it if you could give us a little feedback, a review, or give us some stars or whatever you like to do. That would help us out in terms of getting the word out about the podcast and getting more people listening and participating. That's all of my spiel. That's all I got.
And most importantly,
yes,
people just playing great games that maybe they never heard of, you know?
Yeah, that's our goal, really, is just to get some exposure to some games and talk about games that, aren't necessarily getting talked about on other podcasts because they're smaller indie titles or games that people have long forgotten about because they came out many years ago. That's why we do it, for the love.
We got to go retro again soon, and we have next times lined up as well.
You getting the itch, dude? Is that why? Are you getting the itch to go retro?
Yeah, we've done a lot of indie. We gotta go retro again soon. So we got next one's not retro, but maybe after that we can think of something. But actually, Steve, there's a retro one you want to do, so maybe we'll do that.
Yeah, we will see. All right. Well, thank you guys very much for listening. We appreciate your support, and we will see you next time. For myself, Steve, Phil, and Randy, we will talk to you in a couple weeks.
Yeah, make sure you play Offspring Fling. Leave those comments.
Phil will turn this car right around and no one will have a vacation. There will be no game club for anybody.
Sorry, I just killed the ending. I'm sorry.